Hello and welcome back to EU Sustainable Energy Week. I'm now joined by Karl from Abundance, and Karl will tell you a little bit about what Abundance does, but one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to Karl is we've been covering a lot about the investment models and the funding of renewables and things like that, and I think this short interview will show you some of the different dynamics that are already happening in the market in order for renewable investment to be generated. But I'm not going to take the words out of your mouth. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
So Abundance was set up fundamentally to connect communities, individuals with the commercial renewable energy sector. I suppose we were aware that the public at large are the people paying the cost for the energy transition, and the financial rewards and benefits are generally sort of concentrated around a fairly small group of people, or the financial institutions in the sort of financial hearts of the city. So what we're trying to do is find an easy way to allow the public to invest into commercial developers and allow the commercial developers to have an easy method of raising their money to build out their wind farms, their solar farms, make it as easy for them to do that as it is to go to the banks or the private equity funds where traditionally they would raise their capital from.
So let's get into jargon a little bit. It's a crowdfunding platform, so lots and lots of micro investments make the capital available. And the type of projects that are looking to raise money, I just want to dive into that a little bit. You touched on it just now. These are commercial grid-scale renewable projects.
Exactly. So we're working with some of the I suppose the leading commercial developers in the UK currently, and we're starting to look at European project developers as well. And the scale we're initially focused at is the sort of sub £4 million projects. So that's maybe a half megawatt up to sort of 2 or 3 megawatt wind farm, maybe a 5 megawatt solar farm, and then sort of aggregations of other smaller technologies such as domestic PV and also sort of biomass.
So again, when we've been covering this, and we know some of the pressures on the utility sector because they haven't really. It varies, but they haven't really taken the whole renewable thing too much into account, so they're suffering a little bit. But why are and I also talked to a lot of institutional investments who are saying, well, we have got money allocated, we're more than happy to invest into renewable energy. Actually, we see that as potentially a better bet than some of where our traditional investments have gone. Why do you feel there's a need for a crowdsourcing platform? What are the projects getting out of those?
So there's two parts. One, there's a sort of gap in the project finance funding market. This is primarily because the banks, since the credit crunch, have had to retreat to repair their balance sheets, but also because of the new regulations coming through for the banking sector. Basel III, for instance, is making it more costly for banks to deploy long-term project finance. So really, especially in the UK market, finding project finance up to levels of 20 million is very difficult, if not impossible, to find for the sort of SME developers. So there's really a gap on that side. And then secondly, there's a growing awareness that we need to build out the participation. We need to bring more people into the industry to ensure more people benefit, just to maintain and build the public support.
So how many projects have you got away in this way?
So we've done eight projects to date. We launched at the end of the summer in 2012. Total sort of capital value is about £6.5 million. That's about 10 million euros. And we're now in the sort of state of having the first projects return cash. Our secondary market, which is important if you're offering a long-term investment, is now sort of scaling up. So we're now starting to grow the platform, and we've got about sort of 10 million of projects coming on up to Christmas, and then sort of a pipeline of sort of 20 to 30 million projects for next year.
And what are some of the benefits that the projects are seeing, either planned or accidental, in raising money in this way?
I think there's sort of one, some of them are actually just, it is capital that they haven't necessarily been able to easily find, so that's definitely a benefit. But two, it is that engagement with the communities that are local to the projects, so sort of a greater sort of sense of support for the projects as they're happening locally as you're building those bridges. So I think that's really the two. It's a good source of capital, patient money that's going to be in there for the length of the project, with the added value that you've got the local community behind you.
And in the UK, because this is UK based, so one final question. Are you seeing the opportunity to replicate this model in other European countries, or is the UK's financial framework unique, so it's easier to do it in the UK?
Well, no, very for sure. We've got our European license, so we're now able to welcome investors from across the European Union to come onto the platform and invest into UK projects. And because of our European passport of financial services, we can now start to look at different jurisdictions to source projects. So 2015, we're going to start probably on projects in certain jurisdictions within Europe.
Any clue as to which ones you're looking at?
I think initially the leading countries probably maybe Germany, Austria, Nordic countries, Holland, where we've better understanding of the local conditions, and we've got expertise that lends itself into those markets. But we're open to all markets.
Cool. Well, Karl, thank you very much
you.
for sharing that with us, and thank you as well for watching. As I said, we've been here for a couple of days, feels a bit longer than that, covering EU Sustainable Energy Week. So we hope you enjoyed this interview and all the other content on NGRT. Thank you.